Welcome to the hopefully season. What we're seeing right now is the full distance race of the British Grand Prix that I did like 3 days ago. This was done on no, not 3 days ago. Sorry, 2 days ago. This is completed and done on a Sunday. No, Sunday, Friday. I think I'm watching it at the same time. Yeah, so basically, I did this entire race on a Friday because I tried doing it on a Thursday and it didn't really go out as well as I wanted it to. But before I get into that, I want to really very quickly try to explain or give necessary feedback, or not just, or sorry, because what happened I don't exactly used to it. I'm sorry. Plus, I don't really do commentary while watching this at the same time as well. So, well, let me just clarify as far as this championship is concerned. So, because of my, let's just say my excitement of driving, Senna's car, as you can clearly see right here, I wanted to do a whole 1990 championship. And originally, I was going to do 1991. Because that honestly is one of my most favorite years. I probably picked it for this one, even though I'm starting to change my mind on it. But I'll get into that. Unfortunately, though, the first round I did because there was no like Phoenix Grand Prix circuit. And there is no Grand Prix of the Phoenix Detroit, circuit in this game. So I just so I had to start with the Malecos. Unfortunately, it didn't go as well as I hoped it would. It just flopped over. It was not great. I couldn't focus. I wasn't, I didn't practice. Even though I drove on the racetrack so many times with the same car, I was not properly prepared for it. So I kind of just stopped playing I just like, all right, I can't do this. And plus the car is really hard to drive. At least back then it was. I haven't driven it in a while. But I'm hoping that somewhere along the way I can get back into the feel of it. The last video y'all seen from me was if I'm correct, it was Suzuka. I drove Damon Hill's 1993 F1 car and chased down Cross. Went to like the whole initial D moments, at least the race I would say. So, this, went into this like tunnel focused, like, focused state, and I did that anyways. So I will give some information, obviously, what has happened regarding the championship of the races so far, because I unfortunately do not have the footage anymore to show you guys what happened. Plus, I was honestly just too lazy to even try. When I did have the footage, I was recording some of it, if not a lot of it, mainly of the first race and a few other races after that. But unfortunately, I don't even have I think the fourth round of this championship I don't have. Unfortunately, I tried saving it, and I guess it didn't work. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't think I was able to save it at all. But anyways, let me get some. So after my unfortunate fail of the not really doing well with the 1991 season, I decided I'll do the 1990 season, and I believe that was, if I'm correct, the first time I'd ever driven this car, the McLaren M345B, and I didn't realize it at the time, but this is actually like I don't know the specific difference, but I'm pretty sure there is. But this car was like the same car from the 1989, except it was different. The number wasn't 27, and it was I think maybe a little faster. I don't actually know all the details regarding that variant, but I'm very much a little more familiar with this one. Maybe not like the specs and everything. Something Anyways, so the first round I did, I was really upset, but I did learn from my attempt to do the 1991 season. I was able to learn that the car, like that, or at least the MP46, sorry, that one, fortunately, I learned that that car didn't, it kept locking up and everything, so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do the same with this car and lower the brake pressure, which works. And immediately, going into the first round of this championship, I basically, yeah, I qualified first, really fast. Like it was a really quick qualifying session that I remember. I'm very familiar with it. It's honestly one of my most favorite tracks in to race in this game, or just really in general. But I mostly get into this one because it's like really, really amazing. I really love it. The 1990s, and basically the first race, I guess I was basically just leading from pole position for the entire race, and it came to the point where I practically almost, I think I pretty much lapped everybody, I think, or the only people I didn't, no, you know what, no, I believe I did. I believe I lapped everyone, or I was very close to lapping everyone. It was very close. Unfortunately, though, on the I think like two laps, maybe 3 laps before the race had ended, because it's like the full distance of Interlagos, or 1990 Interlagos was 71 laps if I'm correct. And if I also remember, Alain Prost actually won the race in real life. And Senna got third place, but I was like reluctant to try and get first. Not because I wanted to do better than Senna anyway, no matter how hard I would try, there's no way I could ever do better than Senna. I think his case was the other reason that had nothing to do with him. I think I'm pretty sure it's just either his car or it's simply just circumstances being what they are. I remember watching the race on YouTube, but I don't remember too much of the details of how he got third exactly. But I was able to, nevertheless, I was able to get back into, I was able to stay in first until 3 laps before the race ended, I think. I was listening to Weird Science, and I made a mistake where I got greedy trying to take this turn really fast, and it was like my mind was just trying to test out to see if maybe I could take a turn really fast, something like that, and I unfortunately went off the track and hit the rear of my car up against the wall. I was able to still control the car. I was able to get the car back off the track into the pits, and by the time I officially came out, it was like a whole minute in the pits of not only changing my tires, I think, but also fixing the rear wing and the suspension. By the time I came out, and this was before I had these mods applied into my game, so Nelson Piquet and Thierry Boutsen both passed me, and I had to try and chase them down, but unfortunately I was only 10 seconds away from them, but I was catching up really fast to them, and I finished third place, and then I think I found out shortly after the race ended that Senna finished third in real life, and I was like, that's okay. And then moving on, the second race, if I'm correct, was Imola. And the other thing I forgot I should probably explain, because back then I didn't know that safety cars were not really supposed to be in. I didn't know that safety cars were actually not supposed to be in these races and everything. I had so. Now, whether it happened at Interlagos, I don't know. I don't really recall. But I know that it definitely happened in the second race. Excuse me, in the fourth race, including this one, but you'll see. In the second race, or San Marino, I believe I finished pole position, and as always, I managed to stay there for like the entire race. And what had happened, the one thing I don't really remember too much of any details of what happened, but the safety car just kept coming out for like no reason whatsoever. I guess just, or not so much the game's way. I think the game was just buggy as far as the favorite car was concerned, but it wasn't completely bad, I guess. But the only thing that I really didn't like was the fact that after the safety car had went into the pits, my tires would be very cold, and I think it only came out twice. But the second time when it came out, the car actually, like their engine had like blown out. So when we were doing the race, everyone was behind me. Like Frost, I think, was behind me. I think Nelson A, I think, was also behind me. There was a few people behind me, and it really bugged me that they were there. And I'm just like, not really. And so we restarted the race, and it was like what, lap 56? It was just a few laps down from the race. I think Imola, I think that one was what, 60 laps? I think it was like 60 something laps. I don't remember the exact number. But unfortunately, right as soon as we got to the very end of the first turn, when we slowed down, the brakes were cold, the tires were cold, and I slipped. I went off the track very slow, a little more slowly and hit the wall. Gladly, I didn't cause any damage to the car. Plus, I didn't really have that much major damage on anyway, so that's also why I survived the crash. But I got up and I reversed back out, and I was what, top like 5 or something like that, and there was a mix of back markers all over the cars. And if y'all know, like right before the chicane, right before the last turn of the 1988 Imola track layout, there is a chicane. And I was so desperate and greedy and very impatient to try and get ahead of the cars in front of me because they weren't very, they kept slowing down at the chicanes just to then go fast right out, and it was really annoying me because I was going faster than them. But they don't like giving up their position, so I went next to them and I went off the track. Because of that, we collided, and I went off the track with them. And when I did that, I got sent back down to like 8th, maybe 7th place, something like that. And then I think it was like maybe 2 laps left. I don't remember exactly. But I managed to get back out and finish in 6th place, which, if I'm correct, I could be wrong, but if I'm correct, I think Senna in real life did not finish today. I think. I can check the information myself, or I'll check myself. Right now, I'm not looking. But it wasn't a good race though. I really enjoyed it. It's another one of my favorite courses, but unfortunately it just didn't go as well as I hoped. And when that race finished, there was Monaco. Now, unfortunately, Automobilista 2 or AMS 2, they don't, Rise of Studios, I should say, don't have, and I'm hoping maybe one day they will. They don't have any historic layouts of Monaco, which I hope that one day they do, but unfortunately they don't. Until that happens, won't be able to, like, we'll have to kind of stick to the modern version, which I don't mind, honestly. I don't really mind that one, but it is kind of not so authentic. What was more not so authentic is the AI at Monaco. They do this thing where they love to build up on the track, like the back markers more especially. Like, they don't know how to overtake each other. They don't know how to slow down when the faster car is behind them and everything. Like, it just kind of bugged me. It really, really bugged me. But and it's like the race there, because it was like 78 laps. It was a whole 2 hours, and I did not like it at all. I did not like the race whatsoever. And I was able to like I was able to and basically I was able to win though, and by a great distance too, especially with all the crashes and the build-ups that happened on the track. I think at some point Ricardo Patrese or Jerry Dutton, one of those two had like passed me or something, but I I managed to pass him back later in the race. And I was a good distance away, I'd say. So I had a really good but yeah, I was able to finish the race in first. It was the first race of the season that I was able to follow. And then Montreal, in Canada. So Canada, Montreal. I was able to. That race was actually a lot more better. And what I did was, instead of what I didn't do in the other races, is I practiced in the ring because I had, and I have it. I still have it set for these the next few races, the next races following. I have it set where the weather or any sort of condition of the day is randomized. Now, the reason why I had it like that at the time is because just to get the authentic feel of not actually knowing what's going to happen in the race. Like what I actually should have done was actually get the correct information as far as the weather is concerned, instead of actually putting it as though instead of making the races as though like it's randomized. Yeah, I really should have done it, but I can't unfortunately change anything. And so what I did was, in the case that rain was gonna pop up in Montreal, I decided to practice. I practiced in the rain, stormy weather, and I practiced it because I knew that doing this would help me actually have better control, not just control of my car, but just to be able to race on the track faster. And in Montreal, the practice session, I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it was only either the qualifying or the practicing. I don't exactly remember, but one of those two featured the rain, and I was able to I was able to qualify in first, hit pole position, and it worked out. And so I think what I did afterwards was, then after that, I think I practiced the rain again just for safety reasons, and then I started the race. Correct. And right off the bat, and I started tampering with the AI difficulty just because I wanted it to be a little harder, I think, but I couldn't unfortunately get it where I wanted it to be at that time. But I eventually did later down the line. So we started. I boosted off, and I was like 30 seconds away by lap 40 something, if I'm correct. Maybe I don't remember exactly what lap it was, but I'm pretty sure lap 30-ish. I was able to gain a distance from the people behind me, from the teammate, from Cross, and everybody else. I'm pretty sure it was really Cross because Cross, like as you can see here in this race, is like the fastest in the entire group, other than me, I guess. But he's still pretty good. As you can tell, like we didn't really get too big of a difference in gap as far or distance than each other, you can see. But either way, I was able to stay away from him in Montreal and in this race. But in Montreal, there was an unfortunate accident where I actually did increase the damages on the track just for this authentic country. Plus, I didn't really have the AI just to kind of have like a free ride or anything. Either way, I still had it set where where my car could still be hit. And what happened was, in trying to pass a back marker on the straightaway right before the chicane right before the finish line, I collided into one of the cars because they're giving way to cars that need the space. And I crashed into them, I hit the wall, and I crawled all the way back to the pit lane and prepared my car. By the time I came out, it was like a whole minute maybe, and I was in 16th place. And then sometime after I came out, the safety car came out, and unfortunately it had unfortunately the safety car, when the safety car came out, it made me closer to the rest of the drivers in front of me. And then I got closer, another safety car came out. And then I think it happened again. But by the time we got near the end of the race, I was behind my teammate Gerhard Berger, and I was able to, if I'm correct, I was able to successfully pass him. Pass him. He was actually the hardest out of everybody to pass or to overtake. He was honestly the hardest one to pass. And after I passed him, shortly after, I won the race. Now I don't know what was wrong with my computer at the time, but my computer could not handle the game very well. It was very laggy and very slow, and unfortunately was not able to save the week. I think that's but I can still remember those days vividly, I would say. But then and then we got this race. Now I spent maybe months away from this championship because I got carried away with other racing, and I don't really know what racing is. But I guess a good example is the races that we're being uploaded on YouTube. That's one of the examples. And so here we are in Silverstone because I just started doing this race recently. I did try to do this race, I think sometime after I did Montreal, but it just wasn't really motivated to try as much as I used to. And with that, I unfortunately wasn't able to, like I said, I wasn't able to do as well as I could. And in this case, not in this case. When I tried attempting to win the race and everything, I was very impatient. The track was really weird to me. I mean, I know Silverstone, and I've known it since I played Forza Motorsport 1 back in the day, and even watching my uncle play, and the rest of the other games after Forza 1. But unfortunately, this one was really, really difficult for me because it had this as you can tell, the layout is like a 70s layout, you know. This isn't really for the 90s, but it's the closest that I could get to the 90s variant, and it worked out. So I think it's close enough to it. Maybe if only I could try to compare from the 90s variant, but there is no 90s variant in this game, so I'm gonna have to stay with what I got here. And when I did try to attempt to do this race, the first it went wrong very quickly. Freaking Patrese boosted off from the start and literally just pulled a Senna on me from 1990 in Suzuka Lacrosse, and just didn't let me he just pushed me off or something. And then I think I restarted, and then when I started, I went back into the track, or I went back on the track. I restarted and I got in first. And when I did that, I was getting a good distance away until someone went away. I just spun out somehow, and I think that's because I went off the grass and I tried to recover, and the car just lost a grip immediately and flew off. And then I tried to make a comeback, and it just wasn't working out, so I just gave up. And after I gave up, I literally spent months not trying to complete the race. Recently, after trying to actually I haven't really been races, but after the whole big project thing I've been saying, I'm speaking about regarding the descriptions in videos, I said that I wasn't able to review, and I still am. I've done some really good progress, but I'm still a long way off from finishing it though. But I'll get there. Anyways, recently I just thought, I want to try to speed and so I practice, and what I did was, instead of doing the full distance race or in practicing, I decided, okay, why not just go on the test day and do a full 32 laps. And for the most part, it worked. I was able to, at least in practicing on the track, I was able to do that, and I made my mistakes as always. But also, what encouraged me to try to do this was we all are familiar with the YouTuber GP Laps, he recently did a live stream where he did the second round of his 1990 season online, a whole online race with people, and I thought it was really nice, and it inspired me to want to try to continue this one that I've already started. And I think also what was hesitating me to do this sooner was because I wanted everybody to see the footage of everything, but as you can tell, I don't really want to see this one, at least for now. There's going to be more, races, I'm sure, but actually, I was processing it but I'm going to do something real quick, so give me a second. Okay, now somehow I'm going to that. Yeah, apparently I wasn't able to camera there, but it's all good. So, anyways, well, as you can see, this is the first time the safety car came out, and I think it was because one of these cars had, I think it was but, yeah, as you can tell, the safety car is out, and because of that, the other drivers were able to go to the pits and whatnot. So they're not putting me in a bad spot anyway, because it allowed them to change tires before I did, I guess. But because if the safety car wasn't really a thing, I would have just stayed out as long as I could. The good thing, however, and you won't really be able to see it, but there were a lot of cars behind me. In fact, actually, the better view would be. Yeah, better view would be your verbiage perspective. There was a lot of cars up in front, and that's how I was able to. That's how I was able to gain a good distance away yesterday. So even though I was only 2 seconds away from our burger, it was a good distance away. Also, I'm just seeing that there's like a minutes of protection. Realize. And yeah, that's why I love our replays. I can at least see what happened, outside my perspective in a race, stuff like that. But anyways, so like I said, I practiced the race in I was practicing the races or this track. I was practicing this track in test day, and I just kept doing it over and over again until I got it down. At the same time, while I was watching GP laps, I noticed how he was downshifting, made me think about how I can throttle whenever I downshifted, which is something that was a skill thing for me, but at the same time, it's just how my feet are positioned and how positioned the Logitech the setup I have, it's not really the same comfortable position. Here's the safety car going back in, and the race begins. As you can tell, I'm not too prepared because, well, I'm looking at front, so even if I was, it's still hard to get control there. Nope, it wasn't him either. I forgot who's I don't know who drove the Lotus. There we go. Worked. That's right. Yeah, I thought I actually remembered. I don't know. Well, yeah, as you can tell, yeah, these two back markers were just fighting each other, I think. And honestly, the Lotus looks really nice. Did the Lotus really not have designs on the left and right? I really thought they did. How about it? So I had done, I started practicing and it worked for the most part, I would say. And doing that, I was able to, track, I was able to work, but I also was tuning the car. And this is something I started doing recently since that last version I uploaded on YouTube, where I was able to like tune the car to my liking and everything, tune the wheels, the braking and everything, I guess even the downforce and it's a whole thing. Except that I don't think honestly the pilots would not really want to hear because he doesn't want to understand all that, and I understand what about a car. I mean, I don't even think at least that if I just testing it out, I guess. Anyways, but I was able to, like get a good feel for the car on this track. It worked out really well. I really liked it. And having done all that, I was able to try the race out because I had already completed the qualifying time. Practice what I could. I was able to practice it, and eventually it came down to trying to race out, and it worked out really well. I'd say. I don't know. It worked out really well, and when I had after I had after I tried. So yeah, and then Thursday, which is when I tried to do the race. Unfortunately, it did not go well as I hoped. When I started, I had the AI set to 101. I set the AI difficulty to 100, and doing that, I was able to. I started out really good, and at first I was like, yeah, this is good. I like the AI here, but then Gerhard Berger was started he just like stayed on my rearview mirror like the entire race, like he was behind me the whole time until somewhere along the way, I think at this turn I slipped up and braking with the braking with whipping the throttle as well. I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really sure how to do it correctly, but I was able to do this race very well after all the struggling I've been trying to pull it off. And so when I had taken the when I had driven to information about this race. But when I tried to, I reset my car back on the track and I was able to catch back up a little bit. But where I drove it was long. I was able to catch up to crossing Mansell, and then upcoming this chicane here, Mansell had like spun out all of a sudden right in front of me. And I don't know if the AI do that on purpose or something like that, just to throw me off or something, or just to be dramatic. But that happened, and I think the first person that did it lost, I think. And when that happened, I was able to get around it. But when Mansell did it, like either a lap later or 2 laps later, he blew me up, and I went off the track and got told to give the position back to the other driver. It's like, but either way, I had I was able to, more or less, I was able to catch up or something like that temporarily before I went and crashed again because it sucked. I just I couldn't. It's not that it sucked. I was just struggling. I didn't know how to drive the car very well, and flipping the throttle and everything. I didn't really know how to do it. I can do it on the controller, but not on the vehicle. The whole vehicle by itself. So trying to pass this team. Rotation, I really saw it was the same wheel rotation I gave before. I watched a video about Mansell not so long ago as well. So honestly, I feel really bad for him. So I'm kind of happy he was able to get his I tried catching back up, but it just got worse and worse and worse. And I needed to restart. Although I think that was technically my second attempt at the first time. Or I forgot something. I probably did forget something, so I had to restart. Once again, it didn't go great. The race didn't go well. I can't. I literally, I think after, it was lap 44. It was 20 laps left of the race. And for this, this turn right here, after I restarted, I spun out and went off the track and kind of counter-steered the car and it quick. I know really upset. And so, it got really hectic, and I just I don't want to respect this anymore. So I just gave up. I just kept telling myself all that I practiced get things done as soon as possible without mistakes or anything. So, with that, I had to, with that happening, I had to try it again the next day, or decide to do it next week. And typically, if there's anything where when I feel like something one day. If I try it again the next day, I usually end up doing better, which is something I really need to keep in mind every now and then, which I don't because you're busy behind or you're impatient behind because you're looking to go through the process of trying to do anything. So it left me so it just left me discouraged, but I still went ahead and tried it again, which is basically the race that you're seeing right now is the attempt in which I completed one of this race. I was able to win this race. And I was very happy about it. I was very happy about it because especially because I passed this teammate. I was really happy. I worked so hard trying to finish the race and it worked out. It really did. And so here we are, and you can see clearly that front end looks like I passed across. Shortly after sometime after this, I'm going to be going into the pits here because I'm trying to like look at this from the perspective of and I think actually I'm correct. The same, I think shortly after I got into the pits, I don't think it was this, I don't know if it was this time, I don't think it was the next lap because I did stay out because of the safety car. I decided to try and stay out a little bit. And it worked out honestly for me. So yeah, how everything went, it was really good. I think typically with races like these, doing two stops is very customary for performance and whatnot, and for strategy, for good strategic. But with the practicing I did, I was on soft tires, and I'm able to survive at least mainly for I think for my left front tire, it was getting more damage or more tire wear. And basically I basically just stayed out until I decided I think this was going to be a strategy to try and only put once and last throughout the race. And the strategy was to just stay on softs, then switch to mediums and last the entire race. And without the safety cars, it honestly was a really good strategy. I forgot why. I don't know why I didn't do it. Also, I turned off something where hitting like stuff like that, like the cones and whatnot, on the fact that I was trying to I'm just like, I'm trying to get distracted with that stuff. But it didn't do too much. I mean, I was practicing, so I can tell you. Wow, this is all the way at the bottom. Oh. Run, too. That's crazy. I actually didn't realize that. Oh, you know what? No, I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah, both notices I think it's high. Anyways, so yeah, this was a really good. It was a really good race. This is probably one of the best races I've ever done. The safety cars weren't really a thing. it was a really, really good strategy. I was really like that. Was actually like a good one. Also, I set it up so the game would just like take control of my car movements, basically because I wasn't trying to. Because a lot of the time I fail trying to get into the pits, and I'm just like I'm not trying to deal with that crap anymore. So now you guys are going to listen to probably Mansell come back over, and also like yeah, Mansell went into the pits. I don't exactly know. I don't exactly know what happened because he like I don't even know if he came back out. He should have came out by now, but I think it's something must have happened because he wrecked his car, but he retired from the race. So meanwhile, this is probably one of the biggest comebacks I've ever done back to second place because I was like 7 seconds away from first. If that is correct. That was a very good distance away. I had to get past. And see, the Williams and even Prost, they didn't really give me any room. Shocked that I was able to pass it. These type of cars, the Williams, they have way more horsepower they have way more horsepower or the Mitchell. So I was honestly shocked that I was able to I just know how to drive the course. Plus, I dropped the different. That's another thing I forgot to mention. I dropped the recent updates with every 2000's F1 cars. Unfortunately, Razor Studios, they just decided to up the difficulty for the I get that. Nevertheless, I just but either way, I was able to find yeah, it's crazy. I never really seen too much of Dixon in real life races when I watched them, but it was it's still nice to see, the Williams. I still remember watching the Senna series, and in that one, I remember hearing the Frank Williams in that series literally just announced the lineup for the season. With this like freaking not so devious look, towards Ron Dennis, really sweet, really nice touch to the field. I caught up to these two really fast, I think, because I believe it was before. I think it was after I passed them. I believe it was lap 41, so I would say like 2 laps. He was literally like just my rival. He practically was Cross from 1989. He was practically replacing Cross. And I think that's what the AI did. I think the AI set like that on purpose for some reason. I think it's because he knew not to mention, this race wasn't necessarily like what do you say? It didn't really have a lot of turns involved, so there wasn't really much room for error. So if there was any errors, say we both feel it as far as this race is concerned. We both had racing because there was like no one else that could compete with our speed. We were like the fastest in the entire field. It was a challenging track, I would say, only because I would always look down on the ground. You can see like the little like the driving line. I would always look down on that ground just to tell when it started going down instead of looking at the markers on the left. And while for the most part it works, the only thing that actually is not so really reliable on it is that if it's like the weather or like the kind of waves different, it kind of just fits that idea off. Trying to slow down at my time, but either way, I was able to slow down and catch up. I was able to go through the turns quickly, and it kind of just sticks out either way, so I can still pretty much see the line of the track, and I just use that to my advantage to catch back up. But I've always used it ever since I learned that it was even there, so it kind of just works out for me, honestly. And as you can look on the left, you see where I am in fourth place. I set the fastest lap of the race. I was getting really close to them. Like, my carts went really fast. That's probably because I wasn't as fast. If they were faster, I would have. If I hadn't set them higher, they probably would have been faster. But they didn't. Okay, so let's say, okay, let's get to lap. I don't think it was not lap 40. So I kind of go going alongside cross and overtakes it. I learned from a video from Adrian Miller that V12 engines, specifically about the McLaren 346 apparently the V12 engines are heavier with the heavy twin cylinders or whatever it is about V12 engines, they just seem to be harder to drive. I didn't really know that. But when I heard that, I'm just like, wait a second. That's why. Because when I drove the P46 in some of the races, especially like stuff like at Suzuka, the car, I'm not kidding you, it literally would understeer like crazy. Or I mean, it wasn't too bad, but it would understeer when it would like step on the gas and sometimes, and it would go up. Come to find out, it's because the V12 engine was the car heavier, or not so much heavy, or yeah, maybe heavier but it would also because of the horsepower. There's a lot of horsepower packed into that car. Therefore, when you're steering or when you accelerate, the lift pulls up a little more, and it makes the car it'll make the car drive we say yeah, we will make the car go slower in turns, or not turns, or yeah, or I think that's what it is. Which is back passing VR, but I think it's Cross and Boot. So that's why he was still behind me, I think. Or am I thinking of a different race? I must be thinking of a different race. I don't know. I don't really remember. I could have sworn that Bootson and Cross had actually passed them, but apparently I was wrong. And I think crazy. I think he was able to pick up the Cross and pass him. We'll get to that. The next following races were the lap. The lap is just basically having this giant distance on the road, so giant distance. Distance, right? So like as you can tell, 12 seconds away. And you jump from 13 seconds to then 12, and back to 13. And I could tell, I was able to tell because the chief was telling me like really good. It was a really, really good race. It was one of my most focused race. The other ones I would say were probably the one I did driving most of the K's car at Montreal, and then the other one I think I did it was cross car in 1980. What is it called? Mercury P404. I drove that car at Spa, and those two videos, those two races I just mentioned, those are on YouTube. You can watch for yourselves. Those were the really most smooth races I've ever done. Very except for the one at Spa I did, for Cross's McLaren. I think that one I think that one I had driven. Yeah, that one, I believe I had, yeah, that one, the very first turn, I unfortunately had, I think I went too fast going through turn because I didn't know the big off road. I was able to recover this past minutes. Yeah. So far, enjoyed this race, at least, but it was really, really stressful, especially moving for this race. This one was only an hour and 25 minutes, but it was it still felt like the other races, even though it wasn't as long as the other ones. So typically, it's 6 minutes maybe. This one was consistent with just simply, I believe, so 23, I don't know, which was not. But it was still, placed third place, I think. One of the Williams got second place. I don't really remember. Or maybe it was one of the Benetons, I think. I don't really remember, but it was nice. So, but yeah, I think that's mostly as far as my commentary. But I could probably just see from here the rest that happened because I didn't I should probably apologize as well, even though I really shouldn't apologize on that. I haven't really been, as you can tell, I haven't exactly been uploading as often as I can tell. It's because I've just been focused on projects, and it's really long one at that. I don't even know ever how much I'll be finished, but hopefully it will. I'm hoping I'll be able to upload this video soon as well. And once I'll be able to do that, everything else will be done. But as far as this is concerned, I will hopefully maybe try doing this again, maybe more commentary with this race. I just need a bit more up to speed as far as this championship is concerned and this race. You'll see the rest of the race on your own. I'm probably just gonna let y'all watch the rest because there's really nothing else to really do or say. I mean, if I do some of the same thing at the moment, it's going to be silent most of the time watching the rest of this race. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for all those that actually managed to sit through this race. I never really did commentary. This commentary doesn't really. It's not that it doesn't suit me. I love commentary, especially when I watch videos with commentary. But doing it myself is like a whole different type of feel. So totally different experience for me. I didn't realize that there was oh my gosh. Wow. So because I swear, the whole time I was doing these races, it didn't even feel like I was blocking it whatsoever. But oh yeah, if there's anything I gotta definitely share about this race is after the horrible attempt in trying to beat this race on Thursday, doing it on Friday, I nailed the gripping throttle so well, and I thought doing it was actually the reason why I was making a lot of action and something was going on. I just wasn't used to it and stuff like that. But as you can tell, I was driving really consistent. Laps are really consistent and everything. It was really good. It was really good race. As you can tell, you can see like I have this 10-second gap. It shifted back to 13 at some point. So, but you can see how I'm shifting and not like block shifting anymore. I hope I can stay consistent and not block shifting with the cars. Maybe like these cars, maybe, but I find that maybe a little more difficult. I think, but for now, I'm probably just gonna try and shift down through all the gears instead of just skipping the gears. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoy the rest of this race. If y'all are sticking around, let's just say it gets very interesting at the end. It's not just this the whole time. It gets very interesting. You're gonna see why in a bit. So enjoy and hopefully, please, for those that are running these private reviews, please be patient. It's going to be again.